Chapter 32. Life is the Supreme Guru. Questioner. We too came from far-off countries. One of us is British, the other American. The world in which we were born is falling apart. And, being young, we are concerned. The old people hope they will die their own death, but the young have no such hope. Some of us may refuse to kill, but none can refuse to be killed. Can we hope to set the world right within our lifetime? Maharaj says, what makes you think that the world is going to perish? Questioner says, the instruments of destruction have become unbelievably potent. Also, our very productivity has become destructive of nature and of our cultural and social values. Maharaj, you are talking of the present times. It has been so everywhere and always. But the distressing situation may be temporary and local. Once over, it will be forgotten. Questioner, the scale of the impending catastrophe is unbelievably big. We live in the midst of an explosion. Maharaj, each man suffers alone and dies alone. If you can't relate to the catastrophe that this person is talking of, you can relate to COVID. Yeah? Though you thought it is happening at such a huge level and a huge number of the population is affected. What does Maharaj say? Each man suffers alone and dies alone. Wasn't that true? Numbers are irrelevant. There is as much death when 1,000,000 die as when one perishes. It's the same amount of death. Why? It's only that projection that suffers. You have your projection, your waking projection itself is born of your desire or your fear. Do you see that? That which is born of my desire, my fear, that is the only projection there is. I may think about other deaths that I heard on TV and I just saw numbers, but that is not really that was affecting me in COVID. Do you recognize that? Yes, if there was a near family death in COVID and you saw that, there was only that particular waking projection for that moment. Yes, and it was gone, wiped. One suffers alone. You cannot say we all were in it together. Were you? Is it possible? Did any two people experience exactly the same thing? We are not in it together. There is no us. There is no together. There is only one. That one seeing, that one projection, and the next moment the projection gets wiped away. Again there is the next waking projection and it gets wiped away. There is only one and only one suffers. If you get into the projection and think it's happening to me, it's mine, then the projection is harmful. You suffer. But when you recognize it's my projection, born of me, that which is born of me is me. How can I harm myself? Can I? There is no harm there. So that underlying stress is only a mental phenomena. It is not there in reality. It is an imagination. So each man suffers alone and dies alone. Numbers are irrelevant. There is as much death when 1,000,000 die as when one perishes. Questioner says, nature kills by the millions, but this does not frighten me. There may be tragedy or mystery in it, but no cruelty. What horrifies me is man-made suffering, destruction, and desolation. Nature is magnificent in its doings and undoings, but there is meanness and madness in the acts of man. Maharaj says, right. So it is not suffering and death that are your problem, but the meanness and madness at their root. What is your problem? The meanness and madness, not the death, not the suffering per se. Basically, perception, sensation, thought, and feeling are not the problem. What is the problem? The identification, the jumping in, the indulgence, and the resistance. That is the problem. So it is not suffering and death that are your problem, but the meanness and madness at their root. Is not meanness also a form of madness? And is not madness the misuse of the mind? Humanity's problem lies in this misuse of the mind only. All the treasures of nature and spirit are open to man who will use his mind rightly. Now we'll see what is the meaning of misuse and what is the right use of the mind. Questioner: what is the right use of mind? Maharaj says fear and greed cause the misuse of the mind. The right use of mind is in the service of love, of life, of truth, of beauty. Yeah. What is the misuse? Your fear and greed. The moment there is the body-mind, I become the body-mind person, there is this underlying fear. Think of it as stress. Stress is also nothing else but fear. Stress is also something that harms. So that underlying stress is what is continuously triggering the arising from the nothingness, that restlessness, that stress. What is that stress? I have believed to be this body-mind. I feel I am a body-mind in a world. And this world is out to attack me. That person is out to get me. Oh, if I don't get this thing, I will lose out. If this situation is not achieved, then I am the loser. So there is this constant running, and this hankering. That is that stress. And it is fear. That hankering is fear. If I don't get this name, fame, and my friend gets it, oh, fear of missing out. If I don't behave well with the kid, oh, I am not a good parent then. I did not set the ideal of a good parent. Constant running, hankering, fear of missing out, fear. Are you seeing that? Every action, every thought, every movement is triggered by this stress, this fear. That is why you feel there is harm that is being caused to me and I have to constantly dodge the harm. Do you see that? That's what you're trying to do. And that's why you hate the arisings. You're constantly struggling with the arisings. Why am I thinking about this? Why is this feeling there? Why is this sensation there? Do you see this? You're constantly struggling with them. Why is this feeling not there? Why is this sensation not there? Why am I not seeing this? Constant struggle. What is the root cause? That underlying current of fear. That gives birth to greed. That is why you say, I want to do this, otherwise I will miss out. The fear of missing out leads to greed. Is this opening up a little bit? This fear and greed, this cause the misuse of the mind. Then you go and do something wrong, you think something wrong, yeah? You assume something wrong, and then the chain goes on. So is this sentence very clear? Fear and greed cause the misuse of the mind. It was a feeling of lacking something. Triggered fear, fear triggered the greed, greed said I have to go here. You see how everything falls in line only because of that. There's only one reason you do things. Fear, see it. simple thing like sitting in samadhi, you cannot just be. It comes up, if I just sit and I might miss the lunch bell and then I might get hungry later, might as well get up and go. You open your eyes, oh, it's still 11:30. Oh, I spoiled my samadhi. 30 minutes wasted. Out of what? Greed. From where did the greed come? From fear. Do you see this? The fear came from that underlying current of stress which is there constantly. Have you noticed this? If you've not noticed it, start recognizing. It's the moment to moment to moment. Your decision to get up and go to the restroom or not go to the restroom is also based on that fear. Every small thing is based on that. Start seeing it moment to moment. It doesn't have to be a big decision. When you are on your perception walk, whether you'll take a right or you'll take a left is based on fear. Yeah? It's not the fear of an animal, it's that basic stress current which is just below that surface level. Recognize that. Yeah? You have become a slave to that. And that is why you misuse the mind. When you become free of that, you recognize it, but you stay away from its pull. It has a magnetism to it. You become free of that, you're completely free. Yeah? So first start recognizing. You cannot become free of it without knowing it. Attempt to know it at a personal level. Yes? There is a desire that comes up. That desire creates the physical manifestation. That physical manifestation is nothing but the waking projection. And moment to moment it is like that. You went for a walk, there is the projection. You turn right, there is the next projection. You turn left, there's the next projection, the next projection, the next projection. It keeps projecting. It is projecting from the same seed, desire. First there is projection, then there is the wiping out of the projection, which is the veiling. Those who've done Drigdrishya Viveka properly, the veiling power of Maya. Yeah? Projecting power of Maya, veiling power. Projecting power, veiling power. It's constant. Constant. When you start seeing it clearly, you see it as me only. Where it is me only, can I harm myself? That is why the next proper seeing is it's not harmful. There's no need to be fearful of it or even have any kind of stress. What is I don't need to think that the body will become hungry and then I will have to break the meditation. I don't need to get into that. It will happen of its own accord. What needs to happen will happen. Yeah? Then you'll be free of this slavery to the stress, the undercurrent of stress. It is projecting itself automatically. There is no I projecting there. And there is no I in the middle that was the cause of it, that caused the samskaras, that is causing the desires. No. That also recognition shows you that there is nobody standing there with a projector machine in the hand and projecting. That would be a doing. There is no I with the projector machine in the hand. So there is no doing. It's automatically happening. That desire automatically projects. I don't want it to project. In fact, I don't want it, and yet it projects. So where are you, the doer? Where is it? Then you start seeing, oh, it's an automatic mechanism. Like a program. A computer program has a code and it functions automatically per the code. Like that only. The desires becoming samskaras, the samskaras again manifesting, again reaction to that becoming sanskaras is an automatic code which is part of the flow. I am still not doing anything. This recognition is the highest. The projection is automatic. It's happening, yet it is not happening. I am there, yet I am not. You have to come to that oneness, and then only you see. Yes? So the mental picture projects the physical manifestation. This is a very important thing. If you don't see it, you don't see the waking vritti, you don't see the dream vritti, you don't see the deep sleep vritti. You're just fooling yourself. Intellectually, you got the words, so you think you see it. No, you don't see it. This dream that got projected, where I became aware that, oh, it is a dream. It is not happening to me. Can I recognize this was projected from my own desire or fear, depending on the content of the dream? You recognize it very easily in the dream, and then you see it in the waking. The moment there is the waking projection, this is born of my desire. Then the next moment is the next waking projection. It's born of my desire. The next. It's born of my desire. Yet I am not doing it. There is no doership in it. Yeah, it is an automatic happening like a program code. The code has already been embedded. I am not writing the code right now. I would have seen myself writing the code. No, I'm not writing any code. I'm not desiring even right now. Yet it is projecting. And you identify it as a product of your desire or your fear. That identification part is the part that needs courage. This is a very important line there. Fear and greed cause the misuse of the mind. The right use of mind is in the service of love, of life, of truth, of beauty. Again, love, life, truth, beauty is all at the consciousness level. It's never at perception, sensation, thought and feeling. Questioner, easier said than done. Love of truth, of man, goodwill, what luxury. We need plenty of it to set the world right. But who will provide? So Maharaj says, you can spend an eternity looking elsewhere for truth and love, intelligence and goodwill, imploring God and man, all in vain. It'll all be in vain. If you keep looking outside, keep looking elsewhere means outside. You must begin in yourself, with yourself. This is the inexorable love. You cannot change the image without changing the face. What does he mean? Imagine a mirror in front of you. Imagine your face in the mirror. You see a pimple over there. Can you do that to the image and try to remove the pimple? No, it has to be here. You can't try to remove it there. Do you see it? So you are trying to change the world here means what are you trying to change? The image. This is my projection, projected out of my desire. Do you see? That means it is my reflection. I cannot change anything in the reflection. Where do I have to correct it? At the source. You cannot change the image without changing the face. First realize that your world is only a reflection of yourself and stop finding fault with the reflection. Attend to yourself. Set yourself right, mentally and emotionally. The physical will follow automatically. You talk so much of reforms, economic, social, political. Leave alone the reforms and mind the reformer. What kind of world can a man create who is stupid, greedy, and heartless? Recognize that. Oh, what am I trying to do? I'm trying to change the image. It is so silly. Yeah, it is so silly. That's why recognizing that it is harmless is very important. Can an image of myself in the mirror attack me? Can an image of myself in the mirror ever harm me? No, it's only an image, a reflection of me. My reflection cannot harm me. So I have to get over this idea of fear. This world is not out to attack me. That person is not out to get me. Yes, situations are not out to take undue advantage of me. Get out of all this. You're too self-centered. It's all about you, huh? You're so important. Drop. The reflection in the mirror cannot attack me. Has this become more clear now? Opening up a little more? Attempt to figure out that underlying current of stress, of fear that you have, moment to moment to moment to moment to moment. See it. It belongs to you only when you fakingly assume it to be yours. You grasp it. It is not yours. It isn't there only. It's an imagination. You are not there. There is no continuous I. When there is no continuous I, no permanent I, who is going to be attacked? And who is assuming the attack? All lies. Everything is an imagination. Wake up to the truth. There is only one arising at a time. This is the truth. Either that arising or this arising. One arising, one arising, one arising. There is nothing else in the now. The next now, the next now, the next now. Only a waking projection, born of my own desire, born of desire. Desire here means both raga and dvesha, craving and aversion. Yeah? So it is born of me, born of me. That which is born of me, how can it harm me? It is me only. Right hand cannot harm the left hand. So when you drop all these fake ideas and see the truth and be with the truth, moment to moment to moment, the misuse of the mind will stop, the fear will stop, and thinking that there is something in this world to correct, that the world is wrong, all these ideas will drop away. Clear? Yeah. So correct here, not here.